The next step in our process is to make our base. I've rolled out my slab of clay and I have it on the table. And I have some helping hands. So the first thing is I have one of these Stylus tools that are going to help me draw into the clay without cutting it. These are dull, they're not sharp. So when we want to make a line in the clay and we don't want to actually cut, we use this. It's really important you understand the difference because our temptation is to use this for everything. We are going to cut, but if we put stuff in the wrong place or if we draw stuff incorrectly the first time around, we can always just rib this line out. We cannot just rib out one of these cuts. So it's time to figure out what we want our base to look like. If we want a round base, don't just draw a circle. Every single time in all of my classes, I tell this to everybody. Never, ever, ever just draw a circle freehand. There are lots of things in the real world that are circles. These bowls that I have are about the size that we want for our base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the bowl towards the edge. Never stick anything in the middle and just start cutting it. When you put something like right in the middle, it's actually harder to cut out. If you put it towards the edge, let me move this so you see everything. If we put it towards two edges, then one, it's just easier for us to cut out. Plus, I don't know if I want this like little tear in my base, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure everything fits and is fine by just drawing a circle with my stylus. This makes everything really easy. You're going to notice it doesn't draw like a really sharp line. It draws sort of a rounded line. That's what we want. If everything looks good and everything is fine, I'm going to cut around. One of the things that I want you to notice is that I'm going to cut straight down. This tool is going to be going straight up and down. I am not holding it like I hold a pen, like this. If I hold the tool like this, then I'm going to undercut my base, and I'm going to have an edge on my base that I don't want. So I'm going to go through, and I'm going to cut around, making sure my tool is straight up and down. I am not going to saw or move while I cut. I'm just going to cut straight. Now, what if I don't want a circle? Well, if I don't want a circle, I'm like, no circle for me. I'm going to take my rib and see how nice it just ribs out. My pretty little line is gone. The other thing is, as we start carving and doing other things to our projects, we're going to notice that if we make a mistake, we can just get rid of it by using this tool. But if we make a mistake and we use this, it's there forever. So that's why we have things that we can erase. Think of this as your clay eraser. If you want something like a square, the easiest way to make a square is by using a square. Remember, corners always crack. We talked about this. So if corners crack, you can go over, you can draw your square in, be like, oh, this is where my square is. How big do I want my square to be now? But you have a thing where you can see that there aren't corners. You can decide how big you want it to be, and then you can trace around on two sides, and then voila, you have beautiful, beautiful square. Okay, and this is a way to trace it where you already have these rounded edges, so it's really easy to then be like, okay, this is my square. And again, go through, use a ruler, and cut everything out. Or you can put this on top and cut everything out. But it doesn't have to be this size. You can make your square smaller by just adjusting where this is on your clay. So I'm going to make a really complicated base, though. We talked about my base. And the third base is I'm going to make my base look like a hill. Now, my base can look like one of two hills. I have these little football plates. And again, if you want a flat base, but you want it to be the shape of a football, you can use my little football bowl. If you want a round base the size of a football, you can use my little football bowl. I want a round base the size of a bowl. So this is how we do it. We're going to take a plastic bag. We're going to open the plastic bag up all the way. So our hand is all the way in the plastic bag. We're going to put the bottom of the plastic bag in our bowl, and then we're going to open the bag up all the way around the bowl. So now the bag is on the inside of the bowl. We're going to take our clay, we're going to lay it into the bowl, and I'm just going to start pushing down. And everywhere it folds, see how it's folding? I'm just going to flatten out that fold. I'm going to pinch it so it's not a fold anymore. And I'm just going to keep pushing, and where I get a fold, I'm going to push the fold together nicely. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to tell it it's pretty. Remember, it's a good bowl. It's a pretty bowl. And anytime I have a fold, I'm just going to pinch out that fold. The clay is going to do what you want. It's going to, like if you say, clay, I don't want to fold here, it's not going to fold there. And I'm just going to keep pushing and pushing until it gets, this is the bottom of the bowl? Yep. Until it gets to the bottom of the bowl. Now I have all this extra clay. Okay, anywhere I still have a fold, I'm going to smooth it out. We actually have round ribs for this, so you can get a round rib. You can smooth it out. Make sure you feel the bottom of the bowl. That's really important. And then I'm going to take my tool, and just like I told you before, where we have our tool and we have it, and I want it straight up on the other, I want my tool so that the blade of my tool rests on my plastic bag. And I'm going to cut. And again, I want the flattest cut possible, so we use these bowls because these bowls have nice lids. People always ask me if they can make cereal bowls, and I'm like, yes, this is how you make a cereal bowl. So I am going to, but it's okay. This is where my rip was, but I can easily, this is the inside, so nobody's ever going to see this. Now, this is where the magic happens. I'm going to put my black tray on top of my bowl. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to take my cereal bowl out. I have to leave this sit for a whole day. I can't use it today. But I have made my base. I have my project, my little happy tiki. And now I'm just going to attach my project to my base. I slipped and scored my entire base because I'm going to decorate this whole thing. I'm going to take my project. I'm going to slip and score that. The thing I'm not going to do when I slip and score my project is I'm not going to go around like this. I'm going to make sure, again, it's always, see how aggressively I am scoring this? I am really hacking away at it. I want to make sure I have lots and lots and lots of space. And I'm going in 2 different directions. Like I want to have lots of contact between my little guy and my base. So now that I've put a ton of slip or scoring on here, I'm going to get my slip, use my popsicle stick, and I'm going to put my slip on this. Oops. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to score it again. And then I'm going to take this, put it down. I want to make sure it is going straight up and down. I'm not going to put this on my base crooked. I'm going to wiggle it. I'm going to push it on. A lot. When you have a corner like this, you have to put a coil. So, for my project, I'm going to slip and score this. Put slip here. Put slip here. Corners always chip and crack, and so we don't want any corners. So we have to make sure that we round out this corner, just like we talked about in neurographic art all the way at the beginning of the year. We always have to round out our corners. So that is really, really important. I have made sure to slip and score all the way around my whole base. Even if you have a flat base, you still have to add a coil where your project meets the base, because if you don't, it's going to be terrible. If you don't remember what a coil is, we start off with a ball of clay. We roll it and roll it between our hands until it's the length of our hand. Then we put it on the table. Then we roll it on the table until it is the thickness of a pencil. So now I have my coil. I'm going to score my coil. Remember, we always score in 2 different directions. This is direction 1, that's direction 2. And then, oops, don't worry if you broke it, it's fine. And then I'm going to stick it on here, shove it in so that I don't see that corner anymore. And then I'm going to use my popsicle stick or my finger to smooth it down all the way, or to smooth it up all the way. I want my coil to completely disappear into my project. So that is what we are doing.